A royal masterpiece, Princess Leonor Denmark wedding becomes 2025's defining luxury trend. The world expected elegance. Europe expected tradition. Spain expected formality. But no one expected this. A royal wedding that shattered conventions, blended cultures, and redefined what luxury means in 2025. Because when Princess Leonor of Spain stepped into the Royal Cathedral of Copenhagen, she didn't just marry Prince Christian of Denmark, she transformed the very meaning of modern royalty. This wasn't just another royal wedding. It was a masterpiece of love, symbolism, and bold reinvention. And tonight, we uncover how this single event became Europe's defining luxury trend of 2025. 1. The arrival that shook Europe. From the moment the royal procession began, you could feel history shifting. The carriages glided through Copenhagen's cobblestone streets, draped in white roses and Spanish red carnations, a poetic blend of two royal legacies. Crowds filled the streets, their cheers echoing across the Danish capital. But as Princess Leonor stepped out of the royal car, the world went silent. Cameras clicked. Journalists gasped. What she wore was beyond imagination. Her gown, crafted by Spanish couturier Inés Martín Alcalde, merged regal tradition with futuristic elegance. Hand-stitched silk threads shimmered under the palace chandeliers. A modern neckline paired with centuries-old embroidery told the story of a young monarch who understood both heritage and evolution. This wasn't just fashion. It was diplomacy stitched into fabric. But why did this design cause such a stir among fashion critics, historians, and even royal insiders? Because no one had dared to combine luxury, sustainability, and symbolism so seamlessly before. Leonor's gown wasn't made to dazzle, it was made to speak. 2. The language of luxury redefined. Luxury, in 2025, no longer means excess. It means meaning. And Leonor's wedding embodied that shift. From the locally sourced silk from Valencia to the eco-friendly diamonds mined under ethical conditions, every element of this ceremony challenged outdated definitions of wealth and extravagance. The royal dining tables gleamed, not with gold, but with hand-painted ceramics from Spain's oldest artisans. Every guest was served from a menu designed to celebrate sustainability, organic ingredients, Mediterranean flavors, and Danish seasonal touches. Even the flowers told a story. Spanish lilies for purity, Danish daisies for unity, and olive branches symbolizing peace between nations. The fusion of these details turned the royal wedding into a statement that true luxury is about craftsmanship, consciousness, and culture, not opulence alone. 3. The moment that captured hearts. When Leonor and Christian stood before the altar, a new Europe seemed to breathe. Their vows, spoken in both Spanish and Danish, weren't just promises of love. They were a declaration of partnership between two royal houses that had once only exchanged formalities. As the choir's harmonies filled the air, guests whispered of how young, yet composed Leonor appeared, graceful, radiant, but grounded. The look in her eyes as she said, "Sí, quiero," was pure sincerity. It was that authenticity, that real emotion, that separated this wedding from the ones before it. Because this time, it wasn't a monarchy performing a tradition, it was two people writing their own story. 4. The royal afterglow and global reaction. The world couldn't stop talking. Within hours, fashion houses across Paris, Milan, and London began referencing Leonor's look. Luxury brands scrambled to create collections inspired by the Leonor effect: minimalist, cultural, sustainable, emotional. Bridal designers took notes. Future brides demanded lace inspired by her gown. Social media exploded. A royal fairy tale in real time, one commentator said. The birth of a new European aesthetic, said another. In Spain, tears flowed freely. The young princess, once seen as the nation's reserved heir, had transformed into a global icon of elegance and grace. In Denmark, she was celebrated as the bridge to a new era of royal modernity. But the deeper question was, how did she manage to balance tradition with such breathtaking innovation? 5. Behind the scenes, family, pressure, and purpose. It wasn't easy. Weeks before the wedding, insiders revealed quiet tensions. The Spanish court wanted a traditional ceremony echoing past monarchs. The Danish side preferred a modern, understated affair. Leonor, however, envisioned something entirely new, something that could unite both nations and represent her generation. And she won. She convinced both royal families that evolution was not rebellion, it was legacy reborn. Behind closed doors, she personally worked with designers, florists, and planners to ensure every element represented connection, not contrast. Even her jewelry carried meaning. Pearls once worn by Queen Letizia, and a sapphire gifted from Queen Margrethe of Denmark. Two royal mothers, two histories, now one future. Her strength and poise turned quiet controversy into harmony. By the wedding day, even the critics were silenced. 6. The ceremony that rewrites tradition. As the couple walked down the aisle after their vows, 1,000 years of history seemed to converge. The Spanish anthem softly intertwined with the Danish one, something never done before. The gesture wasn't planned for publicity, it was a deeply intentional act of unity. The guests rose in applause, not just for the love story, but for what it represented, a new Europe, built on connection rather than ceremony. Cameras caught Queen Letizia wiping away a tear. King Felipe smiled, visibly proud. Even the stoic Danish royals broke into applause. The symbolism was unmistakable. This was not the end of an era, but the beginning of one. 7. The global ripple effect. Luxury magazines named it the wedding of the century. Vogue called it a royal blueprint for modern elegance. CNN and BBC both led with the headline, Princess Leonor redefines royal luxury for a new generation. Bridal trends shifted overnight. Designers leaned into subtle embroidery, sleek lines, and meaningful minimalism. Floral artists embraced sustainability. Jewelers spoke of storytelling through gems. Even global leaders acknowledged the cultural impact. Spain's Prime Minister praised the ceremony as a symbol of national pride and European unity. But beyond fashion and diplomacy, something deeper resonated. Viewers saw in Leonor a reflection of a world yearning for authenticity in the face of tradition. 8. The personal moments that changed everything. Later that night, during the royal reception, the couple's first dance mesmerized guests. A Spanish waltz infused with Danish folk melodies, a melody that seemed to say, love has no borders. Leonor's laughter filled the grand hall as family and friends surrounded them. It was a moment of release, of genuine joy after months of global scrutiny. Even in luxury, there was warmth. Even in protocol, there was humanity. And as fireworks illuminated the skies of Copenhagen, the people watching from below, millions across screens and plazas, felt connected to something timeless. 9. Legacy of the royal masterpiece. Weeks later, the effects continued. Bridal boutiques named collections after Leonor. Travel agencies reported surges in Spain-Denmark destination weddings. Even interior design trended toward the royal minimalist aesthetic inspired by her decor choices. But perhaps the greatest impact wasn't material, it was emotional. Leonor had shown the world that leadership and femininity, duty and individuality, could coexist. That a young woman, born into centuries of expectation, could shape history not by force, but by grace. She didn't just redefine luxury. She redefined legacy. Ending, a royal masterpiece forever. As the palace lights dimmed and the newlyweds departed for their private retreat, a hush fell across Europe. Princess Leonor's wedding wasn't just another royal event, it was art in motion, a living masterpiece. And like every masterpiece, its beauty lies not only in its perfection, but in its humanity. For years to come, brides will echo her elegance, designers will trace her influence, and historians will call this moment what it truly was, the day royalty became real again. The day love defined luxury. The day Europe witnessed a royal masterpiece.